Monopoly Money, The State as a Price Setter by Pavlina Tcherneva. Case 3. Case 3 incorporates additional government expenditure, the purchase of park benches from the private sector. In Case 3A, the government chooses to set the wage of the firefighters and to pay market-determined prices for a bench. In Case 3B, the government decides to determine both the wage it offers for a firefighter and the price it pays for a bench. And in Case 3C, it does not set any prices. Case 3A is a basic outline for the full employment model discussed later in this paper. Case 3A. Supplementary assumptions. Number 1. The government sets the price of labor, P sub L, and purchases park benches at a market-determined price, P sub B. 2. HNFA equals 0. Case 3A illustrates how a change in the price of benches affects the number of people who will work for the government as firefighters. The graphs below show that as the government increases the number of benches it purchases from the private sector, the number of firefighters it gets will decrease. The general relationship between the two variables is given by the formula. P sub B times Q sub B plus P sub L plus Q sub L equals T. P sub B equals T divided by Q sub B minus P sub L divided by Q sub B times Q sub L, where T, P sub L, and P sub B are given. As the graphs below demonstrate, when Q sub B increases, Q sub L decreases. T equals $10. P sub L equals $1. P sub B equals $3. T equals P sub B times Q sub B plus P sub L times Q sub L. Graph A. Q sub B equals 1 bench. 10 equals 3 times 1 plus 1 times Q sub L. Q sub L equals 7. P sub B equals 10 minus Q sub L. Graph B. Q sub B equals 2 benches. 10 equals 3 times 2 plus 1 times Q sub L. Q sub L equals 4. P sub B equals 10 divided by 2 minus 1 divided by 2 times Q sub L. Graph C. Q sub B equals 3 benches. 10 equals 3 times 3 plus 1 times Q sub L. Q sub L equals 1. P sub B equals 10 divided by 3 minus 1 divided by 3 times Q sub L. Consider prices P sub B1 and P sub B2 at every given level of purchase of benches by the government in Figure 5, which is identical to Figure 4. Notice that the government will attract fewer firefighters with a high market price of benches than with a low market price. In other words, when market prices are high, the number of people working for the government, is low. When market prices fall, more public service jobs are taken to obtain the needed dollars. In Figure 5, point K is defined by the ratio T divided by P sub L. If HNFA is greater than 0, then point K will shift to the right and will be given by G divided by P sub L. Case 3B. Supplementary assumptions. Number 1. Government spending includes the purchase of labor and park benches. 2. Government sets both the wage of a firefighter and the price of a bench. Conditions. Number 1. P sub B, government determined price of a bench. 2. Q sub B, the number of benches sold to the government. 3. HNFA equals 0. The amount of goods and services the government will be able to purchase is given by the following budget constraint. G equals P sub B times Q sub B plus P sub L times Q sub L. Restated, Q sub B equals G divided by P sub B minus the ratio of P sub L and P sub B times Q sub L. Changing P sub B alters the slope of the graph, but not the x-intercept. Graph A, government price equals P sub B. Graph B, government price equals P sub B plus 1. Graph C, government price equals P sub B minus 1. We have incorporated the purchase of another good by the government. The relationship between how much it pays and how much it gets continues to be inverse. If the price of benches P sub B is raised, all else equal, the quantity sold to the government Q sub B declines. Each point on the line represents a different basket of goods and services. The y-intercepts on all three graphs indicate the point at which the government gets only park benches and no firefighters. The x-intercept is the point where the government only employs firefighters and does not purchase any benches. Of course, the private sector may want to sell some combination of the two. Point E is an example. The function does not give any specific equilibrium level of goods and services transferred from the private to the public sector, resulting in an uncertain quantity of labor and/or benches. Case 3C. Supplementary assumptions. 1. Government spending includes the purchase of labor and park benches. 2. Government accepts market-determined prices for both the wage of a firefighter and the price of a bench. On Figure 6, the price and quantity of benches changed by the x-intercept, point K, remained constant, since it is defined as G divided by P sub L. In this case, however, P sub L also fluctuates due to changing market conditions. Hence, Case 3C is similar to Case 2B, where there were infinite possible outcomes. Both Case 3C and 2B are characterized by the absence of exogenous price control by the government, with price and therefore quantity determined by the taxpayer.